So let me start off with energy harvesting. What is energy harvesting? I think I have taken about 6 minutes time for people. So let us start. So what is energy harvesting? When you gather energy from the natural ambient environment and convert into usable electrical energy. So there's a lot of things around us: sound, light, solar, wind, water. Like they say Panchabhutam in the world, the Sanskrit word, you have all the 5 elements of nature from which you can harvest energy. There are different ways to do them, and we will look at them gradually. What are the importance of energy harvesting? You can reduce the dependence on batteries or cells. There is a need for a continuous source of energy for electronic systems, and these are great for self-powered, remotely operated sensor networks. What are the advantages that you're looking at? Self-sustainable. Each of these energy harvesting, if you can generate and design well, are extremely self-sustainable, and because they are looking at some of the perennial items in the nature, you can always use and reuse them. It allows mobility and promotes autonomy. They are readily available and a very good source of green and clean energy. There is no carbon footprint on most of them. It eliminates the option of battery replacement, and good amount of these harvesting sources can be deployed in inaccessible areas. So what are the potential energy harvesters? Dr. Y.K. Tan from NES Singapore generated this cumulatively beneficial diagram where he showed what are the various ways in which you could use. Let me start with the bottom left. It goes with electromagnetic generator, electrostatic generator, and piezoelectric element. These are all forming of the mechanical vibration techniques. Then there is an ocean wave generator which uses AC linear generator, and piezoelectric you can also use it for pressure based. Next there are the AC rotary generators or your windmills where you can use it for compressed gases or steam, wind and hydroelectricity. So your turbine technology is all AC rotary generator. Then there is chemical reaction or the biochemical reaction which happens in our human body, and the biochemical reactions which happen all around the world in nature. Next we have the thermoelectric generator where you use the thermal gradient on a surface or a difference in the thermal values to do that. So the common effect is called Seebeck effect. Then there is this autophagus structure power conversion where you try and absorb something and then consume it, burn it, and then you produce it. So that is why you call burning. So it is autophagus, meaning you eat it, and the power combustion, you after burning you use it. So what are these? These are your diesel vehicles, automobiles. All these convert something into thermal and thermal into thermo pressure and then further into electric. So this is a generator. So your pistons are a best example. Next, photovoltaic cell. Photovoltaic cells can be done from predominantly natural sources, but a lot of technology has come in where you could use artificial lighting to ensure that you get some photovoltaic activity or you get voltaic activity from those any light. So photovoltaic does not necessarily mean solar. So with that aspect, people went into research and found you could do it for specific wavelengths of light, and these wavelengths of light can be extracted using artificial bulbs or any band gap lighting effect. Next one is the antenna or a rectenna. Rectenna is a rectified antenna where we will look at RF energy harvesting, where you are basically looking at microwave radiation absorption, and you're looking at ambient radio frequency waves. We will look into more detail in this block. Next we have the induction coil. So induction coil is alternating the magnetic field where you get from the power transmission lines, and you're also looking at wireless power transfer where you're looking at strongly coupled magnetic resonances. So induction coils are also right now great wireless power transfer mechanisms. So we are able to see that on phones, we are able to see that on electric vehicles. So we are looking at an abundant source of energy. So what is the principal mode of operation? How do we do that? All these from the sources And once the source is done, you will take the source and you will do energy or a power conditioning. What does conditioning mean? Making it suitable for usage. That is the most broad application or broad definition. We will look into how each of them work below. Next, we have energy storage. You need to store the energy in some form and then deliver it to the electrical load whenever there is a requirement. So what are the potential applications we are looking at? You can see a lot of these applications coming from industrial automation, for example, for machine health and predictive maintenance, lifestyle management of human beings, where you're looking at body area networks, fitness trackers like Fitbit, Google Fit, etc. Structural health monitoring, where you're looking at sensor-based checks for buildings, bridges, structures, and more relevant to Meghalaya would be the mountainous structures and how you can understand the strength, structure, and the health of those components without affecting them majorly. Another thing is wireless charging for electronic devices. These are mostly beneficial when there are natural disasters occurring and you don't have electric supply reaching you. You could use a lot of wireless charging directly from these applications. And finally, the cumulative effect of all of these is the Internet of Things, where each side you're looking for a power source. These energy harvesters would act like a good power source. But yes, these should be ultra low power sources, and these are great applications to have a look at.